What is up? It is Natalie from Girls Inc. here, and I have my special friend here,
Luycia,
who is going to join us today in our activity. We are going to make helicopter pinwheels today out of really simple materials. What you will need is you will just need one corkscrew. I just got this off of an old wine bottle. Okay, so you got one there. All right. You will need one. Let's do that one. Let's do one thumbtack. Okay, so let me make sure. So this is the one that we have here. Parents, I suggest that you are responsible for the thumbtack. So what happens?
you can poke yourself.
Yeah, so that way you don't poke yourself, right? All right, and then you will need one sheet of paper. And you will then need one ruler. So you got our rulers.
Yeah.
And then you will need a pen, a marker, or a pencil to be able to write down measurements. So we got that. Okay.
And also we have scissors.
Yeah.
Parents, you should parents, you have to use these if you have a child next to you.
So exactly, which is why I took it from her. So parents, I suggest that you are responsible for the scissors and the thumbtack. All right. In the wise words of my friend here just explained. And let's get started. You ready?
Yes.
All right, cool. We're going to get started. Okay, so the first step is you are going to take your big full sheet of paper. You're not going to use the whole paper, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure out a square on one side of the paper that's 5 inches on each side. Okay, so that way it's an even square. All right, so as you can see, I've already measured that out. So it's 5 inches here, 5 here, 5 inches this way, and 5 inches that way. Okay, so you're going to do this as your first step. Okay, and once you're done measuring, you are going to use some scissors and you're going to cut out the space that you measured. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. All right, so you're just going to cut off. And there you have it. You have your even square. All right, so you don't have to write down the measurements like I did. I'm just doing that so that way you can see how long each side is. All right, so there we are. Okay, so I have already done Luycia's square. She measured it herself, by the way. Disclaimer, she did measure this by herself with help from me. And I did cut it out for her too. Since I'm the adult, I'm going to be the one cutting the paper out. So now that you have this all cut out, your next step is on the side, on either side. I'm going to do the decorations on this side so that way I can still have the 5 inches visible on this side. I'm going to decorate this side of my square. Okay, so how you choose to decorate it is up to you, but you only need to decorate one side of your square. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. All right, I have successfully decorated the top of my helicopter. I just wrote Girls Inc. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to flip around your paper to the side that doesn't have any designs on it or any decorations. And you're going to take your ruler once again, okay? And you are going to measure at each corner of the square. You're going to measure a line that goes from the corner towards the middle of the square. So I'm going to make an example right here. And you're going to measure 3 inches in. So I will do an example for you real quick, and then that way you can see what I mean. So I'm going to measure this line. You're going to draw a line from the corner of one of the corners of the square. Alrighty. And you're going to make a straight line that's 3 inches long. And the line's going to point towards the center of the square. Like that. Do you see that? So this is 3 inches right there. All right, so I'm going to write 3 inches. And you're going to do that for all the rest of the corners of the square. So you're going to make a line that goes here towards there. You're going to make another line that goes in from that side, and then another one that goes in from this side. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to measure to 3 inches. And it's going diagonally, okay? 3. That's 3 inches. I'm writing out how long these are so that way you can see them better in this video. So 3. You okay there? Okay. All right. one last side to do. 3. Okay. And when you are done marking those lines, this is what it should look like. So you should have 4 diagonal lines pointing towards the center of the square. Okay, see that? All right, so next step is you are going to take your scissors, okay, and you are going to cut along the lines that you just made, okay? So, and I'm only saying 3 inches because you don't want to go all the way to that center point, okay? You only want to cut up to where the line ends, all right? So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut along that line. I'm going to do that for all 4 sides.
Because if you cut into the middle, if you make it into the middle, it's not going to come out correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to make sure that you only cut up to where the line ends that you made.
So
okay.
Only...
You see that? So now I have these 4 flaps. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of them. See?
You can't cut in the middle, else you don't have anywhere to put the thumbtack.
Yeah, exactly. So I won't have anywhere to put the thumbtack if I cut straight to the middle. Okay, so this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so I found it a little easier to do it this way. So I'm going to ask if you are with your parent or an adult or an older sibling that they do this part for you. Just because this thumbtack has a sharp point and I wouldn't want you to poke yourself. Okay, so I'm going to do this for mine first, and then I'm going to do it for Luycia's, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your flaps, okay? And you're going to grab one side of it. See if I can show this to you better. And you're going to flip it up, all right? And you're going to flip it up towards that center point here, okay? So you're in the middle of the square, like that, okay? So what I like to do is I actually like to take the thumbtack, and I like to just poke a hole in the very corner here. Here you go. I just like to, not at the edge or else it's going to tear. So I like to go like right here. So I like to just poke a hole there, like that. Okay. So I have a little hole there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And now I'm going to take, and I'm going to go from underneath through the top like that. Do you see that? Got it? Okay. And then once I have that flap attached to the thumbtack, all right, I'm going to grab the flap next to it. I'm going to take one side of that and I'm going to flip it in, and I'm also going to attach that to the thumbtack as well, okay? So now I have 2 flaps connected there. Do you see that? Now I have 2 that are still left. I'm going to take the 3rd flap. Okay, so I'm not going to take, oh wait, I think I messed up. Did I mess? No, I didn't. I'm good. Okay, so I'm going to take this flap that's not right next to the other one. I'm going to take this one over here. And then I'm going to bring that in. No, wait. Oh, that's wrong. Okay, I was wrong that time. So I'm going to take this flap, the 3rd one, and I'm going to attach it to this one here as well, to the thumbtack. Like I said, make sure an adult is doing this part for you so you don't nick yourself. Okay.
Or hurt yourself.
Ah, this is where it gets a little tricky. All right, this is where it's a little, have to mess with it a little bit. Okay, so now I have 3 of my sides attached to the thumbtack. All right, do you see that? Now I'm going to take the last one, the last flap that's not attached yet, and I'm going to turn that in like that and attach it to the thumbtack as well. You can also tape this first before you use the thumbtack. I just find it easier to attach it to the thumbtack first. And so then now you have all 4 sides attached, and then you have your pinwheel that's taken shape, okay? So you're only attaching it to one side, all right? So when you cut it, you kind of see that you have like 4 triangles, so it's only going to attach to one side of the triangle. All right, so that way you still have this side that's sticking out. Does that make sense? Do you see that? Okay. So then now the last step, all right, is that you get your cork, all right, and you're just going to attach it to the thumbtack that's sticking out. All right, do you see the thumbtack sticking out there? I'm just going to attach this right in the center, and I'm just going to push it down to attach the pinwheel to the cork. All right, and then kind of push this down in the middle a little bit. Make sure it's nice and secure. All right, and voila, you have your pinwheel helicopter. But we have both of ours. So I'm actually going to make a smaller one. I've already started on it. So instead of making one that's 5 inches, I'm making one that has a wingspan of 3.5 inches. So I'm making a baby one. So we're going to test out to see if this bigger 5-inch one stays in the air longer, or if the one that's smaller is going to stay in the air longer. Okay. So what is it called when we make a guess before we actually do the experiment? Do you know, Luycia?
Yeah.
What is it called?
It's called a pinwheel.
Sort of. So it's called a hypothesis. So anything with science, yeah, hypothesis. So a hypothesis is like a guess. So we're gonna, if you were to guess which one's gonna spin faster, Luycia, what do you think? Which one is gonna spin faster? What's your hypothesis?
I say the adult one.
The bigger one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so her hypothesis, her guess is that the bigger 5-inch pinwheel is going to spin faster than the smaller 3.5-inch pinwheel. Okay, which one do you think will get to the ground faster? The 3.5-inch one or the 5-inch one?
The 3.5.
The 3.5. Okay, so you think the smaller one is going to reach the ground faster?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So she's got her 2 hypotheses. And remember, a hypothesis was what again?
A guess.
A guess, yeah. So it's a guess of what you think is going to happen before you do the experiment. And then when you do the experiment, you then find your conclusion, meaning that you either see if your guess was correct or if it was not correct. And then you kind of just figure out like, okay, what made this go faster or what made this go slower. So the next step is actually doing the experiment part. So I'm going to finish putting this smaller one together, and then we're going to test it out.
Mom,
what's up?
What's your hypothesis?
My hypothesis? That's a good question.
Which one?
I'm going to say the smaller one is going to take I am going to agree with you actually. I'm going to guess that the smaller one is going to get to the ground faster. However, I think that the smaller one is gonna spin faster.
Oh,
I'm gonna say the 5-inch one spins slower. Okay?
Oh wait, I want to change my answer. I want to
so,
take the little one.
So you're gonna change your guess?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right, it's okay to change your mind. All right, so I'm gonna finish putting this together, and then we're gonna go outside and test it out. All right, so we are going to test out our pinwheels. I have the 3.5-inch one, and she has the 5-inch ones, and so we're just going to test them out. When you do test them, make sure that the cork side is the one that's facing down. Okay, you don't want to toss it like this. And usually you would just drop this straight down like that. But because we don't want to have this fall in our neighbor's yard down there, we're going to just throw it out just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to see what happens. Are you ready?
Yes.
So our guess was the smaller one was going to get to the ground faster, and that the bigger one was going to take a little longer. And in terms of how fast these are going to spin, I think that this is going to spin faster and that one is going to spin a little slower. Okay?
Me too.
All right. So here we go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay. So from what we saw, the smaller one did spin quicker to the ground, so it did fall to the ground faster, and the bigger one actually stayed in the air a little longer. So Luycia is going to go run down and grab those, and then I'm going to explain how the pinwheel spins. Okay, so whenever objects are going, when you let an object go, the force of gravity is what's making the pinwheel fall to the ground in the first place. So gravity is what basically holds everything down, right? So when then you are thinking about air resistance pushes against the folds of the pinwheel that we made here. So there's 4 of them that we made. So air resistance catches that, and that's what pushes against the flaps, and that's what makes it spin when it's in the air. Okay, so gravity and air resistance are the 2 main things that make this work. All right, so whenever you release it, you will then see it spin. All right, I'm gonna test this one out while Luycia is down there. And Luycia, it's a little bit windy, so I'm gonna see if the wind has an effect on which way this pinwheel goes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip this camera around. Flip around. No? You don't want to flip around? Okay. Okay, I guess not. All right, so I'm gonna toss it to you, Luycia.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, and watch where it goes.
It's going that way.
It's going in that direction. So the wind is playing a big part of this too. So the wind is making the pinwheels go to the right. All right, so it's not going straight down. It's going down, and then it swings and goes that way. All right, so Lucia's gonna retrieve those. Alrighty, and then we'll wrap it up here in just a bit. Okay. All right, so thank you for joining us again for this tutorial on helicopter pinwheels, and thank you so much. And we're gonna throw it one more time, and this time I have the camera facing out this way. Are you ready, Luycia? She's gonna throw the smaller one. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Where did mine go? Okay. All right, we're gonna go run down there and get those. All right, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have fun making it.
How's our cat?
And that's our cat. Say bye, cat.